If you like Hollandaise sauce, let's see how easy it is to make on this edition of Out Loud Geek. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss a variety of topics, including science fiction, fantasy, cooking, the outdoors, and more. On this episode of Out Loud Geek, I'm going to show how I like to prepare some Hollandaise sauce. To do this, I start with a package of Knorr Hollandaise sauce, or you can use some other brand as well. The recipe is fairly easy to follow. The key is making sure that it doesn't burn while you're cooking it. To cook the Hollandaise sauce, I'm going to do something slightly different from the instructions on the package. Instead of cooking the sauce directly on top of a burner, which risks burning the sauce, I'm instead going to use a double boiler. If you are not familiar with a double boiler, it works by having a pot where you've put water into the pot, about 2 inches of water, and then you put the insert over that. By doing this, the sauce can cook inside of the insert, and since it won't be in direct contact with the stove underneath, it's far less likely to burn. So I have turned the burner on high that's underneath the double boiler, and I have measured 1 cup of milk because the recipe on the back of the Hollandaise sauce package mix says to use 1 cup of milk and about 1 or 2 tablespoons of butter. So here goes the milk into the pan. And it'll take a little time for that to heat up. But I will go ahead and add the butter while it's heating. And having the butter inside of the milk as the pan is heating lets me know that the milk is indeed heating up. And there's the butter. Sorry about the banging. So as this heats, the butter will begin to melt into the milk, and it's only after the butter is thoroughly melted that I will then add the mix to the heated milk. You don't want to add the mix too soon because it won't dissolve as well when the milk is cold. So it has been several minutes since I turned the stove on, and the water is now starting to boil in the lower part of the pot. And on the top, the milk is starting to heat as I can see a little bit of melting just starting to happen with the butter. If I give it a little bit of a stir, yeah, you can see little droplets of butter starting to ooze out. I also went ahead and added a little more butter just to make the Hollandaise sauce taste that much better. It's been a couple more minutes, and as you can see, more and more of the butter has melted. So the butter is almost now completely melted. As soon as it is completely melted, and I feel that the milk has reached a reasonable temperature, that's when I will add the Hollandaise sauce package mix into the heated milk and butter. Okay, I believe the milk and melted butter has reached a reasonable temperature, so I've opened up the package of the Hollandaise sauce mix and I'm going to pour it in. As you can see, it's kind of in a lot of chunks, so you immediately want to get your whisk and start mixing it in with the milk and the melted butter. You don't want to have lumps from the mix itself. Whisking it will help reduce the possibility that there are any little chunks floating around. And you want to give it a nice fast whisk while it's heating up. You can also see that how hot the milk is because of how it's frothing along the sides of the double boiler pan. The package calls for the milk and butter mixture after you add the sauce to it to come to a boil. And it is possible to get the double boiler to a boil, but you don't want to keep it there for very long. You just want to do this, you want to reach it up, you want to get it up to a very hot temperature, and then when you lower the temperature, that's when the sauce will begin to thicken up. And there are still some lumps inside of them from the mix, unfortunately, but that's going to happen. You just have to keep stirring it periodically to help break those up. Eventually they will break up more, it just takes a little time. It won't come to a hard boil. You simply won't see that when you're doing the hollandaise inside of a double boiler. But I'm going to go ahead at this point and lower the heat on the water underneath, and I'm going to crank it down to less than halfway because I don't want the water to fully boil out, and the sauce is sufficiently cooked at this point that it can start cooling a little bit. And that is how you cook hollandaise sauce in a double boiler from a package. Thank you for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to press the like button below. And if you'd like to see more of our videos in the future, please subscribe to our YouTube channel right now by clicking on the subscribe button. If you'd like to leave a comment, please feel free to post one below. See you next time on Out Loud Geek.